Yamaha DT 250, also known as a Yamaha DT2. There might be a tag back here somewhere. You can't really tell. I got this about 13 years ago in a box. It was a box of parts, and went through it, restored it, fixed it all up, put it together. This was a running, driving, registered, everything motorcycle back in 2017, I think. And don't steal my plate. After 2017, it sat and fell into a general state of disrepair. I gave it to my dad. He rode it once, and since then we have lost some parts. We've lost blinkers, we've lost the original seat. Don't know where this one came from. We've lost the guard that goes on the exhaust. We've lost any semblance of running motorcycle, but not a problem because it's going to be fixed. Maybe today. The goal is get it running today, figure out what it needs. It shouldn't need much. I rebuilt the whole thing. The carburetor had a rebuild kit. This engine, originally the countershaft on the transmission was blown up. So I put a new used one in there. New piston, new rings. It had, like I said, working lights, all the things. So I think we can get it back in decent shape, but also it's looking pretty rough. It was built in '72 and I never really cleaned up the frame or did anything. Kind of preferred the old look, but we can probably do something a little better this time around. So the idea after getting it running is to give it a quick restoration job and make this something that I can ride and take places and actually use. It's a good motorcycle. They don't build them like this anymore. Probably, you know, because of the environment, but also it's a cool old motorcycle. It looks like it's been around for however long it's been around, but it's still worth saving and fixing up. These things are notorious for their longevity, for their ability, their capability. They kind of revolutionized the whole off-road thing. Yamaha did with the DT 250 series, and the 72 was the first year that they went to this reed block, which you can barely make out in there. And as a spoiler alert, there's some upgrades to be done to this bike. Nothing too crazy, but there are a few things I want to do to it for performance in general. Just basic nice things to have. So that's where it sits now. That's how it looks. Starting at the front, I'll kind of tell you what I know, what I remember, and where we're at with things. So this front drum brake I know is sticking. If I know me, it has new shoes everywhere, and they're gonna have like 0 miles on them. But new tires, new tubes. Forks were rebuilt. These are gonna be new seals. These are just neoprene covers on them that have kind of worn off. Steering stabilizer was rebuilt. That should all be fine. The headlight was cool because I put an LED in there. I actually got an LED to fit, and it was working for a while, but I need to modify the electrical system. That's going to be a task. I'm going to cover that. It's going to be a thing that is done. Coming down here, you can get another shot at that brake drum. I think it's just sticky. We'll see. Our exhaust is missing springs. We'll have to do something about that. The wiring mostly has been redone and fixed. It used to be all chopped up. Maybe I'll put some pictures in, maybe I won't. The tank, when I picked it up from my dad's house, had a different tank on it. This one was sitting out in the corner. No idea why he would do that, but there's also something in it. Need to figure out what's inside of the tank, probably clean it. Originally I did an electrolysis bath on that, fixed it all up, cleaned it, and it worked out nicely. but needs to be redone. Again, carburetor rebuilt, but probably going to need to go through that. It does turn over right now, so that's good. Oil tank has oil, should run. Don't see what the problem is. Random seat off of something, who knows. Had the 6-volt battery put in there. Gonna try and change that to 12. Gray thing is an air cleaner. Some random fuse I put there, I don't know why. Got the fender, got these awesome aftermarket in the 70s shocks. So it's a good little bike. The swing arm bushings down here, that you can maybe see, those got rebuilt, they got reinstalled. So all in all, it's not a total rebuild project. We should have a lot of good stuff to work with, but also it's not going to be necessarily easy. A little bit of an oil leak down there. Do have a skid plate. I'm missing random parts for it. No idea where they are. Nothing in the toolbox. That's a shame. Oh, look, our tire's cracked. Okay, time for new tires. No problem. I think we can fit a lot bigger tire on there. Look at all that space. So it's just as well. That's perfectly fine. But there it sits now. 1972. Yamaha DT2. It's been through many iterations of life, but today it will begin yet another in 20, whatever we're in, 26, as we try and bring it back to life. I want to ride this through the woods in the forest up here. That's my goal. Look, it does have the key. A little bit dirty up here, but it's fine. We're missing the marker light for the high beam. It's a big deal. In decent enough shape though. It's a good little motorcycle. It just needs some attention. So first step is I'm going to pull the plug. We're going to try and get a spark. I'll probably pull the carburetor. We'll see how bad the bowl looks, and I'm going to try and make it run. Right now it's 11:30 on a day, and the goal is in 30 minutes we'll try and have it making some noise on its own. If it doesn't go that way, it doesn't go that way. It's fine. I will tell you also, there is a small fitting. I'll try and zoom into it way back there, behind that cable. It's supposed to be one of those plastic things in there. So what has happened is water has gotten into that Magneto cover, and those points might be totally trashed. So gonna have to have a look at that. But if we get spark, we get fuel. This thing should do something, because again, slightly over a decade ago, it was a perfectly good running, legal, registered, fully completed by me motorcycle, whole. So we'll bring it back from the dead. Okay, step one. Are we getting a spark? Let's see. I'll tell you the answer right now. Of course not. Let me kick it. You tell me. The key is on. Don't hear a spark. Don't see a spark. Noticed when I was taking the spark plug out that it was loose. Let's see if you can see the spark plug in there. Probably can't because of the focus. It's pretty gross. There's some rust, some red stuff in there. Not ideal. Good thing is, have new spark plugs. Here's the thing. You see what this one is? BR8ES. Here's a tip for you. The R stands for resistor. I think it's 5 ohms. Let's just say it is. So there's a 5 ohm resistor in here because they don't make things like they did in the 70s, and they're sensitive electronics. Resistor is supposed to help. underpowered, weak 6-volt ignition system that goes to a coil up here, sure, probably doesn't need any resistance. Probably needs all the help it can get. You can find these without the R, or you can swap it to a different plug. I'll show you the ones that I got. They do not have the resistor in there, therefore they're supposed to spark better, maybe run a little bit better. Keep that in mind if you've got old junk like this. You do not want resistor spark plugs. However, I'm working on a 71 Honda SL350. Those have spark plug boots that do have resistors in them, but they were made for non-resistor plugs. Therefore, you can get a non-resistor spark plug boot and put a resistor plug, a key, in there, and it's same, you know what I mean? But what you don't want to do is use a boot that has a resistor, a plug that has a resistor, then you're up to 10 ohms. I mean, everybody knows 10 ohms is just, it's crazy. Actually, it's really not that much in the scheme of things, but every little bit helps, especially when you're dealing with this old stuff. I'm gonna go grab another plug and we'll see if that makes any difference, but I'm thinking this is gonna be points. As promised, when you're working with this old stuff, here's some equivalents. So our friend the Autolite is in there. Let us try and see if we can get a little spark out of it. It's bright. I don't know if it's super well grounded, but we'll give it a shot. Sure doesn't sound like a spark. I'm trying the key in two positions. There's an on position and there's a on with lights position. Doesn't seem to make a difference. Let's, before we pull wiring or pull the points, look at the points, check on our wiring. So let me show you that. Okay, there's our wiring. Where does it go? What does it do? Don't know. This looks like an old rectifier. This red wire should probably come into there. Will that make a difference? Don't know. Our coil wire back here on the other side, you can kind of see. You trace that around. That's connected to whatever this stuff is. Our coil has a ground on it. You can sort of see all that stuff over here. So let's plug in the red wire, see if that makes any difference. Red wire's connected. I don't know where the spark plug just went. There it is. Let's see if that does anything. I don't think so. I mean, maybe it shows up on video that there was a spark there. I don't think there is. So now, that means that it is going to be time to pull this Magneto cover down here. And that is a couple 5mm Allen bolts. So stand by. So I flipped the bike around. Figured we'd use the rotation of the earth and the angle of the sun and all that stuff to our advantage. And I was just going to take this off and show after. Figured I'd bring you along for the ride, because I think it's going to be gross. I think water got in here and water was never taken out. I'm going to take the clutch off too. Cool, stripped. Don't worry about it. Didn't see that. Those can just go on the ground because who cares? There's that one, and let's try this one more time. There we go. Look at that. Looks brand new. It's so nice. Maybe not brand new, but you know, close. Do you want to come off? You sure don't. What if I hit you with something breakable? Absolutely. Okay. A little bit of water in there. Some corrosion, you could see all that. As expected. We have a gasket that is in disrepair. So we'll get a new gasket. That's not a big deal. But what are our points doing? And also, how am I going to clean them? You could line them up through here, stick a thing in there. We have tools. And this is telling me it just wants to come off. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, using the benefit of the Earth's rotation, moved again because it's way too hot. But I've got a 19 millimeter on the flywheel / Magneto nut. Should be regular threads. However, I've lost my adapter for the impact, so I'm just gonna have to hammer on it. Should come loose with some inertia, and then we'll put the puller on it. Got it. All right. Is there a torque spec? Maybe. Do I know it? No. Do I have the right flywheel puller? Not sure. Normally they look like this. This is a M27 by 1 left-handed thread. So if it does go in there, lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. I think. It feels like it wants to go, but it's not really catching. However, this has had water and gross stuff in it, so these threads could just be dirty and nasty. I'm going to take a couple moments, clean those threads up, see if I can get a better connection on this. I also have this one, way too big, I think. Or maybe the exact same size, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't want to thread in much either. So, pause for a moment. Let's clean the threads. Yeah, I just shot it full of brake clean. Let's see what that does. Also, I noticed there's 2 washers under here. Not sure that's normal. Did I do that? Don't know. Maybe. It really doesn't want to thread. Let me see if our other one does any better. And if not, then we move on to the step called, let's just force it. What's probably going on is those internal threads. Oh, that feels good. That's how it's supposed to go. So whatever this is, it says Motion Pro 080026. I don't know, Google it, find something out. And from here, I'll need a wrench to turn this. And what better wrench than an adjustable one? Okay, because that is hard to hold, and I'm smart and anticipated this problem. Could you put a socket on here and run this in? Yeah. Would that work easier and better? Yeah. Would it be quicker? Yeah. Is that the right way to do it? Most likely, yeah. Do I have a bigger one of these rubber strap wrenches? Yeah. Do I want to get it? No, I don't. Will this maybe work? Probably not. Okay, let's just pretend that I cut this whole part of the video. We'll get whatever this is, maybe a 17, and we're just going to send that. That should push on the crankshaft snout, pull the Magneto off, points behind there. There is always a price to pay for doing things the stupid way. It's usually time and effort. This is pretty correct, so that's fine. This bolt is just going to tighten regularly, like it just did, and we broke off of the snout. You should be able to just wiggle this off. A little bit of water. Not too bad, all things considered. Let's get in closer for the points. It's really not quite as bad as I thought it would be. Almost looks all right in there. You can look, I even got points from Japan. Man, that's crazy. So these open. And I don't know, somehow magic, electricity, blah, 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 that creates a spark. This little deal here rides on the inside of the flywheel, which is there. And the inside of that flywheel is kind of an ellipse, so it's not perfectly round. That's how you get your timing. That goes around, that opens the points, that causes a spark. Blah, 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 blah. So why, if our points look okay, are we not getting a spark? We can open them a little bit, try and get in and have a good look at those. Okay, took a little break with the lawn people, went inside, did other things. But I did go ahead and rub a little bit of sandpaper in between the contacts of the points. So those should be cleaner. And what I also did was take that same sandpaper, clean the inside of the flywheel a bit. Magneto flywheel, whatever you want to call it. I used 220, sprayed brake cleaner on all this stuff, and I think what we'll do is put it back together. Again, this deal, this hub, is not perfectly round, and it rides on our little plasticky part here, and that is what opened the points. So that has to be on. We'll put that back on, see if we have a spark, and if we don't, then I guess we'll move on to wiring or something. See if we can find something weird. Would be smart to start with wiring and go simple, but I thought this might be an issue, so started here. What I'll also do after I put you down is probably clean up those little stator things just a tiny bit, make sure they're not rusty. Because again, this had water in it, and I want it to be nice and clean and better. So I'm gonna finish cleaning that up, put it back together, and then we'll see if that sparks. Okay, flywheel's back on. Nut is kind of tight, probably good enough. Haven't really touched anything. Let's just kick it and see what happens. And by kick it, I mean push it with my hand. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a spark there. And I think we need to take apart the carburetor. Just gonna pull it, take the bowl off, and have a look at what is inside of there. I don't have it yet, but I'll get some pre-mixed fuel and we'll have a quick look at that. So I'm gonna pull those two bolts, which are 12mm looking things. I'm gonna pull the slide out, and then we're gonna take that to the bench. So I'll see you there. So I've got a carburetor out, kinda. Like I said, two of these, easy. There's a rubber boot down here, the bottom of the air cleaner, that needs to get pried out of the way. Not a big deal, but I thought our slide was okay. Our slide is stuck. Throttle cable moves. The slide does not. So I'm going to have to gently try and work this slide out, hopefully without hurting anything. But it does seem like it's pretty firm in there, so keep that in mind. What I might also do is try and pull the cable out. There's a plate in here at the bottom of the spring. You can get this cable out, leave the slide in there, and that might be less invasive at this point. So I don't know if I can get you all the way in there, but at the bottom where the cable goes in and the plate and all that, you can work with that and get it out. I don't know, look at the internet. This is blurry, it's not doing you any good. So I'm going to take that out and then go over to the bench. Okay, slide is out. You need to be careful, that little plate holds the needle in, so the needle will come out. And you can see we're on the middle clip there, wherever the camera is, I don't know. Not a big deal for right now, we're just trying to get this thing to run. but you can adjust the needle. I suppose a smart thing would be to take this off. This is a drain. We're just going to pull the bowl. Nothing going on as far as leaking out of here. I don't know where the fuel line went to this thing. Again, it didn't even have the original gas tank on it. So I don't think there's anything in here. 2 of these are loose, 2 of these are kind of not. What else was loose? Oh, the spark plug was loose when I grabbed it. So that was good. I have more of these screws. I'm not too worried about replacing them exactly. I'll put some nice stainless ones in there. But we are going to need a little bit of vice grip persuasion to break these little guys loose. That's nice because even though this was 10 years ago now, everything isn't frozen in place for the past, 30. So because it's been somewhat freshly redone, we're not fighting as hard, but I hate having to do things over. I hate rework, and that's what we're doing. But that's okay. Don't do that. I mean, no sense in... These are gummy, but no sense in sticking around watching it. I'll get the bowl off, and then I won't look at it before you do. We'll have a look together. I have great news. This screw that was giving me trouble, it broke off. So I'm going to have to drill that out, which I never have luck with. And who knows? Probably just scrapped a whole carburetor. Probably not. I'll take my time. I'll figure something out. But these things happen. Why that's so stuck in there, no clue. But as promised, let's see if we can get this bowl off and see what this looks like. Not too bad. Not great, but definitely could be worse. So I'm going to go through these jets. They shouldn't be too frozen. And it is, like I said, a freshly rebuilt carburetor. So they shouldn't be too bad. But everything is pretty sticky, which isn't great. And our gasket looks nice and messed up, so that's good. You can see our screw sticking in there. Yeah. Let's have a look at this for a little bit and try and clean it up, start to blow some air through it. We'll take all of these adjustments out. It's the idle screw. We've got the air screw. I'll pull the floats out of it. I'll pull the little needle valve. Maybe let this stuff soak. I'm not sure, but on the one hand, we have internet and plenty of time. On the other, I just don't like wasting it while nothing's going on. Slide, again, nice and stuck in there. Real stuck. Which is great. Get some little pliers, see if we can get this little guy out. Yep, he just wiggles out. And is our valve going to come out? You can see our little valve here. The squishy thing doesn't really squish. This is supposed to be a spring-loaded pin at the end. There it goes. We got that unstuck. Is it going to come out? Almost certainly no. Why would it do that? Hey, sometimes you get lucky. And keep all our little parts up there. It's going to be an 8. Yeah, okay, we can turn that a little bit. It's not too tight. Might be able to turn by hand. Look at you. Look at how clean and beautiful and nice you are, and how definitely clear and not clogged. Man, wonderful. A little bonus thing in there. Gasket, spring, don't know. Could just be the carburetor. I had the original carburetor when I was rebuilding this thing 15 years ago. I soaked it in Pine Sol too long. Pine Sol, fantastic cleaner. Remember to take your stuff out of it, because if you don't, the Pine Sol will eat all the aluminum, and that's not good. Something else I might want to do to this carburetor, see if this fits in there, it doesn't really, is these used to be black. So am I going to go out of the way to glass bead this and then either Cerakote or powder coat it? Highly unlikely, but it's not out of the question. Not impossible, but improbable. Let me get a better screwdriver. Joke's on you, I don't have a better screwdriver. Or the joke's on me, I don't know. But let's see if this little electronic screwdriver will get it out of there. I don't think so. I think that's going to be close to impossible. Okay, maybe special tool time. Maybe let this guy soak, see if our choke works. Choke moves. So that's something. I am going to shoot this with WD-40. And I am going to go pick up some pre-mixed True Fuel, and then I'm going to blow a bunch of compressed air through this, I think. That is my game. Ooh, I have seafoam sitting on the shelf too. Maybe I'll soak it in seafoam. But that's the general plan for this. Is it awful? No. Also, we got to get that screw out somehow. Great. So those are my tasks, things you don't need to be here for. But I'll update you when these things are done. I'll let you know how this slide comes out too, because as you can see, it doesn't really want to move. And the problems you run into letting things sit outdoors uncovered for 12 to 15 years. C'est la vie. Okay, it's 30 weeks later. It's not, it's a couple hours, maybe one or two. But I have cleaned up the carburetors a little bit. I need to not lose these. So I have taken a Dremel tool and these little wheel thingies. They're super handy. They're not super abrasive, they don't spark. It's basically just a Scotch-Brite pad. Cleaned a lot of the corrosion and stuff off. I've decided that I do hate the way this carburetor looks. I'm going to get it back together to be functional for right now, but then we're going to spend some more time cleaning it up, because that's phase 2 of the project anyway, is make this thing a little bit better. So I need to spend some time going through, finish cleaning all of these, clean up the outside a bit, and we will make sure everything in here is clean-ish for the most part. This is xylene, which is acetone but evaporates slower, basically. And I like it. I like it for what it does. It cleans okay. So the next step is kind of going through all of this one by one and making sure that the tiny holes, the openings, all that stuff is all good to go. Also, I need to find the other one of those. Maybe it's in the frame somewhere. I don't know, but that's important. That keeps the float from flying away. So that's where we're at. I got some of this 2-cycle engine fuel. You tell me how it's 40 to 1, but also 50 to 1. I don't understand that at all. Don't get it, but these old 2-stroke Yamahas, when they were pre-mixed, this one has oil injection. I was reading that they liked 32 or so to 1, so we'll try 40 to 1. We'll see if the oil pump works. You know, what could happen? It'll be fine. There's plenty of ways to kill these things, and that could be one of them, but it should be fine. What I might end up doing, realistically, is mess with this carburetor for a little bit, and then take you outside to the motorcycle we might just pour some of that down there and see if it makes noise. So if this carburetor takes a while, that'll be step 2. But for now, let me work on cleaning this. Next thing you'll see is all these little tiny parts cleaned and going back into the carburetor. By using a bunch of miscellaneous wires, I have gone through, cleaned them up. This little one here, high-speed jet, you should be able to see a tiny bit of light through it. Still some junk in there, I think. But this copper wire will barely go through. But by poking all these clear and going through, that is how you can clean these out. Do they make kits for this? Yeah, sure they do. Should you buy one? Yep. If you're doing this, 100%. Do I have one? Absolutely not. So random wire is going to work. So this one still needs a little bit of work on it. And then I found this one was actually tied to this main jet plug thing that goes on the bottom. So kind of clean this up, and that's going to thread in here. I guess that's probably the main jet. How it works, don't know. Carburetors, mostly a mystery, a lot of witchcraft. But you know, air goes through at a velocity, Bernoulli's principle, fuel, reed valves, 2-stroke, boom, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to finish cleaning these up with my random wire, and we'll start putting things back together. I don't have a gasket, and that screw is still broken over here. But have a look. Everything seems to be in pretty decent working order. Everything's back in anyway. So I'm going to put some screws in it. I did find my other little rubber plastic thing to hold the float. I'm going to put some screws in it, a tiny bit of gas. We're going to bolt it up and see what happens. I have ordered a gasket. That'll show up whenever it gets here. And like I said, I'll take this back apart, give it a thorough exterior cleaning, make it look kind of pretty. You know, why not? We're here. And I feel pretty good about how thoroughly it was cleaned. Think it's going to work pretty good. Went through with the air compressor. This is all WD-40 now because I hate how dry the carburetor cleaner and brake cleaner makes it. So I went through, blew everything through with the air compressor at like 100 PSI. Did it blow something up in the carburetor? Who knows? Could have. Maybe. We'll see. But blew everything through. Everything seems to be working. Think all the passages are clear. I am cautiously optimistic. We shall see. So 3 screws in here because that's all it'll take right now. And then we're going to bolt this back up, and I'm going to put a little bit of fuel into it. And we will see what happens. Check spark, still getting spark. Put a little bit of 2-stroke fuel in here. Cycled it a couple times. Get some fuel going in there. We're full here. I think it's gonna go on the first kick. That's just me. Let's see. Keys on. Will it idle? I don't know. Yeah, sure it will. Not gonna lie, pretty excited about that. No reason why it shouldn't have run though. Basic things, spark, gas, it's all the same. Cars, motorcycles, etc., etc. Next thing probably is to take this whole thing apart. I've got a handful of new parts for it. I'll go through those, show you those later. And we're gonna turn this into a rideable machine. It doesn't need anything major, thankfully. Like I said, this thing was gone through a long time ago, and I know a lot more now than I did then, but it was put together pretty okay. One thing that'll be interesting is our oil feed line over here, because that is broken. It's down back in here, but we can fix that and get this thing looking nice. Try and convert it to 12 volt. We'll see how that goes. Get rid of some of this stuff, fix up the lights. And just in case you were curious, it is DT1F, which places it squarely in 1972. So, not bad. Work to do, but at least it runs. Tomorrow, maybe I'll put a gas tank on it. We can go for a quick ride before it comes apart. But thanks for hanging in there. At least we got something done today. And it's 5:36. So like I said, 30 minutes or something. Definitely not 5 hours, but we took breaks. It's okay.